Hold the line! The power is too much! We cannot fail!
My name is Declan Stormblade, and I am charged with protecting Valorian. Join me on my quest as we read our audiobook series.
Good evening, adventurers, and welcome to the Heroes of Valorian. Really great book for you tonight. This is the last book in our series, Quest for the 7 Artifacts. This is the showdown between Stonefang and our heroes, okay? 2 rules. Rule number 1, please like and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button for us. Hit that subscribe button, which is over there, okay? Also, gotta have your magical artifact tonight. I will have the regeneration crystal that has healing properties. Make sure that I'm healthy, have full health. What do you got, bud?
Flame Tooth.
Flame Tooth. What does that Flame Tooth do?
Controls fire.
Controls fire. We also have our campfire going. You can see there we got our little pseudo dragon that's stoking the fire, just like Declan has his pseudo dragons. Anybody who's new to us, you can see we have a map here. This is the realm of Valorian. This is where our heroes live, and it's the realm that they protect. On this quest, we have left the city of Ashenclaw. You can see the big city down there in the corner, okay? And our heroes have taken a ship all the way around the island, okay? And they've gone to Castle Wavecrest. They've gone to Stormbreak Ruins. They've gone to Skyfall. They've gone to Mount Thundercloud. And now you can see all the way there on the left-hand side of the map, Shipwreck Cove. They're in Shipwreck Cove, and they've walked to Stonefang's lair, which is in that mountain range there. And that is where we are going to pick up the quest for the 7 artifacts, Into the Dragon's Den Part 2, Book 7, the finale. Chapter 1, Escape from the Mountain. The ancient dragon's eye filled the crack in the wall, massive and terrible, and focused entirely on them. "Run!" Declan screamed, and they ran. Behind them, Ashenclaw the Eternal tore through Stonefang's mountain fortress like it was made of paper. Stone exploded. Walls shattered. Well, we forgot our little picture. That is Ashenclaw. The ancient dragon was too large for the corridors, but that didn't stop it from widening them with sheer brute force. Each roar shook the foundation. Each impact brought down more of the ceiling. The mountain itself was collapsing from within as the ancient creature pursued 3 small humans through the twisting passages. Declan led the way, the star-weaved crown still on his head, showing them the truth through the illusions and false walls. Pip followed, his rogue's instincts helping him navigate the treacherous footing. Alindra brought up the rear, her blessed sword ready just in case anything got too close. "Left," Declan called, spotting a side passage that sloped upward. They dove into it just as Ashenclaw's massive claw tore through the corridor they had been in. The ancient dragon's frustrated roar followed them up the passage. "How long can we keep this up?" Pip gasped, breathing hard. "As long as we have to," Alindra replied. They climbed, using rubble and broken stone as hands. The passage grew narrower, too narrow for anything dragon-sized. Behind them, Ashenclaw's attempts to follow caused more collapses, but at least it couldn't pursue directly. Finally, they saw light ahead. Real daylight, not torches. A crack in the mountain's outer wall, probably caused by all the destruction. They squeezed through the opening and emerged onto the mountainside. The view was both beautiful and terrible. They were high up on the western face, maybe a third of the way down the peak. Below them, they could see the cultist camps, the fortress entrance, and in the distance, the cove where the storm chaser was anchored. The ship was damaged, and even from here they could see scorch marks on the deck, a broken mast, and debris in the water around it. But it was still afloat, and they could see small figures moving on the deck. They survived. Declan breathed in relief. The question is, did they keep the artifacts? Pip asked. As if in answer, Stonefang's voice boomed across the mountainside, magically amplified.
My agents have failed to take your ship. Your crew fought better than expected, but you will not get away.
They looked up, circling overhead, silhouetted against the afternoon sun was Stonefang himself. The red dragon was massive, 50 feet of scales, wings, and fury. Smoke trailed from his nostrils as he banked in the air, looking down at them.
You've caused me considerable trouble, little thieves,
The dragon continued.
Destroyed my golem army, awakened Ashenclaw prematurely.
You forced my hand, and the mountain shook. Through the crack they'd emerged from, they heard stone grinding against stone. Ashenclaw was still inside, still moving.
Now,
Stonefang said,
you will bring me the artifacts, or I will burn your ship and crew and those little dragons you cherish.
We need to get down, Alindra said quietly. Now. The mountainside was steep and treacherous, covered in loose rock and offering little way and handholds. But they climbed worse, and they didn't have a choice. Stay together, Declan said. Watch each other's backs. They began this descent, moving as quickly as they dared. Loose stones skittered away beneath their feet. More than once, one of them slipped, saved only by grabbing onto rock or being caught by another. Halfway down, they ran into cultists, a patrol of 8, climbing up to investigate the noise from the mountain. When they saw the 3 heroes, weapons were drawn immediately. Stop them! The lead cultist shouted. Really? Pip said, drawing his daggers. We're being chased by 2 dragons, and you think now is a good time? The fight was quick and brutal. The cultists had numbers, but the heroes had desperation. Declan's arrows took the 2 down before they could close. Alindra's blessed sword cut through the patrol's defenses, and Pip danced between enemies, his daggers finding gaps in armor. Within minutes, the cultists were defeated, and the heroes continued their descent, not even pausing to catch their breath. Above them, Stonefang circled, waiting and watching. Behind them, the mountain continued to shake as Ashenclaw moved within it. They were running out of time. Chapter 2. The Dragon's Trap. They reached the mountain base, and as the sun touched the western horizon, painting the sky in reds and golds that seemed to match Stonefang's scales. The cultist camps were in chaos. Some were packing up to flee. Others were forming defensive positions. All of them were looking up at the mountain nervously, hearing the sounds of Ashenclaw moving within. Declan led them around the camps, using boulders and terrain for cover. They didn't have time for more fights. Every cultist they avoided was one more step closer to the cove, to their ship, and to their friends. As they circled toward the northern approach to the cove, Stonefang landed ahead. The impact shook the ground. The dragon was enormous this close. The scales, the color of fresh blood, each one larger than a shield. His eyes were molten gold, fixing on them with ancient intelligence and pure fury.
Going somewhere?
The dragon asked, his voice no longer amplified, but still booming. They stopped, hands on weapons. We're leaving, Declan said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. And we're taking the artifacts with us. Stonefang laughed, and the sound was like an avalanche.
You honestly think I'm gonna let you walk away?
You don't have a choice, Alindra said, her blessed sword beginning to glow. We beat your agents. We survived your fortress. We'll survive you.
Will you?
Stonefang's head swiveled to look behind them. They turned and saw Ashenclaw emerging from the mountain's base. The ancient dragon was even more terrifying in full daylight. Massive didn't begin to describe it. Ashenclaw was easily 80 feet tall, with scales so dark they were almost black, edged in silver that gleamed like starlight. Parts of the dragon almost looked fossilized, covered in crystal formations from centuries underground. Its eyes were milky, but still glowed with power. When Ashenclaw moved, the ground shook. When it breathed, the air itself seemed to grow heavy.
My old teacher,
The Stonefang said, with something like affection in his voice.
the greatest dragon who ever lived, and you insects seek to defy us.
They were trapped, Stonefang ahead, blocking the path to the cove, Ashenclaw behind them, blocking any retreat to the mountain. Cultist camps on either side.
Surrender,
Stonefang demanded.
or I'll visit your ship and take from the wreckage over your friends.
Declan's mind raced. They couldn't fight two dragons. They couldn't run. Dragons could fly faster than humans could sprint. They couldn't hide. Dragons could smell them, track them, hunt them down. But they had one advantage that the dragons didn't know about. They knew what was coming, and they'd planned for it. Pip, Declan said quietly, remember what we discussed on the ship, about what we'd do if we faced both dragons at once. The insanely dangerous plan that will probably kill us, Pip replied. That's the one. Just checking that we're on the same page. Alindra's hand tightened on her sword. Are you sure about this? No, Declan admitted, but it's all we've got. He raised his voice, addressing the dragons. If you want the artifacts, come and get them. And then he ran. Not toward the cove, not back toward the mountain, but to the side, toward the open area at the base of the collapsed caverns, where the mountain's internal chambers had caved in during Ashenclaw's rampage.
After them!
Stonefang roared, launching into the air. Ashenclaw bellowed and followed, the ancient dragon's massive bulk moving with surprising speed. The heroes ran for their lives, leading to the most dangerous creatures in Valorian exactly where they wanted them, to the place where they were very lucky or very skilled, they could bury them both. Chapter 3. The Ship's Tale. While the heroes ran across the rocky terrain, leading dragons toward their carefully chosen battleground, Captain Morrow stood on the Storm Chaser's damaged deck and surveyed the aftermath of the battle. They'd won. Barely. The sea serpents had attacked at dawn, rising from the water in a coordinated assault. 4 massive creatures, their scales gleaming in the early light, their fangs dripping with venom. The crew had fought magnificently. Torben had manned the forward ballista, putting bolts through the serpent's eyes. Kira had organized the deck fighters, coordinating strikes against any serpent that got too close. Others had used fire, oil, anything they could use to drive the creatures back. Zephyr and Ember had been heroes. The 2 small pseudo-dragons, each barely the size of a cat, had attacked creatures 50 times their size without hesitation. Zephyr's frost breath had frozen serpent scales, making them brittle. Ember's fire had seared serpent eyes, blinding them. But serpents weren't the only attack. Boats full of cultists had tried to board. The crew had repelled them wave for wave, but some had gotten through, and a group of 5 had made it to the captain's quarters, trying to reach the artifact chest. Captain Mara herself had stopped them, her sword flashing in the confined space. She'd taken a cut to her shoulder, but all 5 cultists had fallen. The artifacts were safe. They had been locked in their reinforced chest, glowing faintly through the wood. Tidestone, Storm's Eyes, Starweave Crown, and the Flame Core, 4 of the 7 most powerful magical objects in existence. And a merchant captain and her crew had protected them against the dragon's forces. Now, looking toward the distant mountain, Mara could see the smoke rising. She'd heard the roars, knew that Declan, Pip, and Alindra were over there somewhere, fighting their own battles. Captain, Kira called from the crow's nest. I see them. 3 figures running from the mountain base. Mara grabbed the spare telescope. Not magical like the one Declan had, but good enough. She trained it on the distant mountain and saw them, her heroes, running across open ground with 2 massive shapes pursuing them. Dragons, she breathed. The crew fell silent, watching. We have to help them, Torben said. How? Kira asked. We can't reach them from here. The ship's too damaged to sail closer, and we can't get to shore fast enough. Then we prepare, Mara decided. If they can't make it back, they'll need us ready. Torben, prepare the artifacts. They might need them. Kira, organize a shore party. If they signal, we row out to get them. Everyone else, defensive positions. If those dragons come this way. She didn't finish the sentence. They all knew what would happen. The two dragons attacked the ship. Then, realizing that the heroes would never make it, Captain Mara took the pack containing the artifacts from Torben and gave it to Zephyr and Ember. Get these to Declan now. On the shore, Zephyr and Ember took off, flying toward the distant battle. The two pseudo-dragons had stayed when ordered before, but not now. Their bonded human was in danger. They flew low and fast, wings beating frantically, racing toward the fight. Mara watched them go and whispered a prayer to whatever gods protected small dragons and brave heroes. They were going to need it. Chapter 4. The Artifacts Unite. Declan, Pip, and Alindra reached the open area near the collapsed caverns and turned to face the dragons. This was the place, where the mountain's internal chambers had caved in during Ashenclaw's awakening and rampage. The ground here was unstable, cracks and fissures everywhere, some still smoking from the heat of the collapse. Below them, tons of rock had fallen into the vast cavern system, and more could fall if properly motivated. Stonefang landed in front of them, wings spread, smoke curling from his nostrils. Ashenclaw approached from behind, the ancient dragon's massive bulk making the ground shake with each step.
No more running,
Stonefang said.
Final chance. Give me the artifacts.
Actually, Declan said, reaching for his pack that was dropping from the sky, we have a counter offer. He pulled out the Tidestone. Even in daylight, the artifact glowed with inner blue light. Water currents seemed to swirl within the crystal. Declan felt its power the moment he touched it. The ocean's might compressed into something he could hold in his hand.
You left them on the ship?
Stonefang said.
My agents.
Pip interrupted, pulling out the storm's eye. The gray crystal sphere crackled with lightning bolts. Didn't figure we'd need 'em, huh? Alindra drew the flame core from her pack. The red sphere blazed with internal fire. And now we know how to use them. The three artifacts, held by three heroes, began to resonate. Blue light, gray lightning, red fire, all pulsing in sync. Stonefang's eyes widened.
You wouldn't dare combine the three. The power will destroy you.
Maybe, Declan said, but it'll definitely destroy you.
Stop them!
Stonefang roared at Ashenclaw. The ancient dragon moved with surprising speed, charging forward, but the heroes were ready. Declan focused the Tidestone and water answered, not just from the air, but from the deep underground, from cracks in the rock, from everywhere. Water pressure could crack stone, could split mountains, could reshape the world. Alindra channeled the flame core and heat blossomed. Not wildfire, but controlled intensity, superheating the rock beneath the feet, causing expansion, creating fractures. Pip struggled with the storm's eye at first. He was no mage, he was just a rogue who'd stumbled into greatness. But then he remembered what Declan had told him. Don't think about controlling it. Think about what you need. The artifacts will respond. What did he need? Storm clouds? Lightning? The fury of the sky itself. Above them, the sky darkened. Clouds rolled in from nowhere, black and heavy. Lightning flickered within them. That's it, Declan shouted. Keep going. The three artifacts glowed brighter, their powers feeding into each other. Water and fire created steam. Steam rose into the storm clouds. Lightning energized the water, making it more reactive. Fire heated the ground, and water pressure cracked the superheated stone. It was working. The artifacts were combining, creating something greater than anyone could imagine alone. Ashenclaw reached them first, massive jaws opening to snap them up. That's when Zephyr and Ember came down from the sky. The two pseudo-dragons dove from the sky, tiny but fierce. Zephyr breathed frost directly into Ashenclaw's face. It wouldn't hurt the ancient dragon, but it startled it, made it hesitate for just a moment. Ember breathed fire at Stonefang, who was preparing his own fire breath attack. Again, not damaging, but distracting. A second was all they needed. Now, Declan screamed. They released the power. All three artifacts discharged at once, their combined might aimed not at the dragons, but at the ground beneath them, at the unstable collapsed caverns and the fractured stone, at the massive hollow spaces below. Water pressure burst through rock like a dam breaking. Fire superheated stone until it shattered. Lightning struck the ground again and again, each bolt destabilizing the foundation further. The mountain collapsed. Not the whole mountain, just the cavern system that honeycombed its base. Miles of tunnels, chambers, and vaults that Stonefang had carved out over the centuries. All of it fell at once, pulled down by the artifact's combined assaults. The ground opened up, massive sinkholes appeared, and stone fell into darkness below. Stonefang tried to fly, but the shockwave from the collapse hit him mid-wing, throwing him from the sky, and he crashed into the falling earth and was pulled down. Ashenclaw tried to retreat, but the ancient dragon was too massive and too slow, and the ground gave way beneath it, and the greatest dragon who'd ever lived fell into the collapsing caverns. Both dragons roared in fury and terror as thousands of tons of rock buried them. The heroes were thrown backward by the explosion of power, and they hit the ground hard, artifacts still clutched in their hands, and rolled away from the collapse. For nearly a minute, the world was nothing but noise. Rock crashing, earth falling, dragons roaring, thunder overhead. And in silence, the dust began to settle. Where the cavern system had been, there was now just a massive crater filled with broken rock and debris. No movement, no sound. The dragons were buried. Declan sat up slowly, his whole body aching. He still had the Tidestone, though it had stopped glowing. Around him, Pip and Alindra were also stirring, bruised and battered. "Did we—" Pip started. "We did," Alindra confirmed, looking at the crater. They'd done it. Defeated 2 dragons. Buried them under a mountain. Zephyr landed on Declan's shoulder, chirping frantically, checking if he was okay. Ember did the same with Pip, nuzzling his face. "We're okay," Declan told the pseudo-dragons. "We're okay." In the distance, from the direction of the cove, they heard cheering, and the crew had been watching. They'd seen the victory. "Come on," Alindra said, helping Pip to his feet. "Let's go home." They walked slowly, exhausted, toward the cove, toward their ship, toward their friends. The quest was over. Stonefang was defeated. The artifacts were safe. They'd won. Chapter 5. Victory and Reunion. The walk back to the cove took longer than the desperate run away from it. Every muscle ached. Every step was an effort, but they walked together, the 3 heroes and 2 small dragons, across the rocky terrain as the sun set behind them. The cultist camps were abandoned. Everyone had fled when the mountain collapsed. Some had probably died in cave-ins. Others had simply run, their master defeated and mission failed. As they approached the beach, they saw the rowboats pushing off from the storm chaser. Captain Mara was in the lead boat, with Torben and Kira rowing frantically. The moment the boats hit the beach, the crew rushed out. Captain Mara reached Declan first, pulling him into a fierce hug. "You crazy fools," she said with tears in her eyes. "You actually did it." "We had good teachers," Declan replied. The reunion was pure joy. Torben lifted Pip off the ground in a bear hug despite Pip's protest. Kira was checking Alindra for injuries while simultaneously congratulating her. Zephyr and Ember flew circles overhead, chirping triumphantly. The artifacts. Captain Mara confirmed. It was a tough battle, but everything was fine with the artifacts. "We lost the ship held. We lost a lot of good people." "I'm sorry," Alindra said quietly. "Don't be. They died protecting something that mattered. There's honor in that." Mara looked at the distant crater. "The dragons?" "Buried," Declan said. "Not dead, probably. Dragons are tough to kill, but trapped under tons of rock. They won't be bothering anyone for a very long time." "Then it's over," Mara said. "The quest is complete." They rowed back to the storm chaser together. The ship was damaged, but still seaworthy. They needed repairs before sailing far. but they'd manage. On deck, Declan, Pip, and Alindra were treated like heroes they become. The crew finally broke out the good wine, and someone started playing a fiddle. Despite the exhaustion, despite the injuries, there was celebration. Declan stood at the railing, looking toward the collapsed mountain, and somewhere under all the rocks, Stonefang and Ashenclaw were trapped. The dragons who started this whole quest, the ancient creature they'd awakened. They'd face justice eventually, maybe in a decade, maybe in a century, when someone excavated the ruins. But for now, they were neutralized. Thinking deep thoughts, Pip joined him at the railing, offering a cup of wine. Just processing, Declan said. We did it. We actually did it. Yeah, Pip was quiet for a moment. When we started this, running from the Shadow Caller, I thought we'd be lucky to survive a week. And now? Now we've sailed across Valorian, fought krakens and serpents and golems, claimed magical artifacts, buried 2 dragons under a mountain, Pip grinned. My life's got weird, Alindra joined them, her blessed sword sheathed, her armor dented and scratched, but still gleaming in the lantern light. 2 weird lives, she said, raising her own cup. They toasted together. 3 friends had been strangers less than a year. What happens now? Pip asked. We have the artifacts. Stonefang's defeated. Do we just go back to normal life? I don't think there's normal after this, Declan said. But we should return the artifacts to Ashenmoor. Add these to the 2 they're already guarding. Let them be protected properly. And the 7th, Alindra asked. They learned from Stonefang's journals that the 7th artifact had been stolen centuries ago. Its location was still unknown. A mystery for another day, Declan decided. 6 artifacts accounted for and protected. That's victory. The celebration continued into the night. Songs were sung, stories were told, and for the first time in months they could relax without looking over their shoulders for the next threat. Declan stood with Zephyr and Ember on his shoulder, watching his friends celebrate, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. They'd done what everyone said was impossible. 3 young heroes against a dragon, and won. The stars came out bright and clear. The ocean was calm. The ship rocked gently in the cove. It was perfect. And then the air began to shimmer. At first, Declan thought it was the wine affecting his vision. Let me just do the next picture here. A strange distortion in the air near the beach, like heat waves on a summer day, but with colors that didn't quite exist in nature. Then Pip saw it too. Is anyone seeing that? The celebration was quieted as everyone turned to look. The air was tearing. There was no other word for it. Reality itself seemed to split, revealing something behind it, a darkness that wasn't quite dark, a light that hurt to look at, colors that had no names. A portal. What is that? Linda breathed, her hand instinctively going to her sword. The tear widened, growing from a small rip to a gaping wound in space itself. Through it, they could see somewhere else. Not another place in Valorian, another world entirely. And through the portal stepped a figure, tall, draped in robes, so dark they seemed to absorb the light. A hood covered the face completely. No features visible, only shadow within shadow, and from that darkness, 2 eyes glowed with an eerie purple light. The figure's hands were pale, almost skeletal, and dark symbols were tattooed across the visible skin. The figure stood on the beach and surveyed the scene with an air of satisfaction. "Impressive," a voice said. Neither male nor female, neither young nor old, but something else entirely. It echoed strangely, as if coming from very far away, despite the figure being right there. "You've saved me considerable trouble." "Who are you?" Declan demanded, his hand on his bow. The figure's glowing eye turned toward him, but it said nothing. It just studied him with an alien intelligence. "What do you want?" Alindra had drawn her sword, which was beginning to glow with holy light. The figure gestured toward Alindra, specifically toward the flame core she still held. A single pale finger pointed. "You can't have it," Declan said firmly. The figure's head tilted slightly, as if amused, and then it spoke. Strange, echoing voice. "I have crossed dimensions to be here. I have walked between worlds. I have studied magics your people can't even imagine." Power radiated from the figure. Not like dragon magic or even the artifact's power. Something else. Something wrong. Magic came from a place where the rules were different. "Do you really think you can stop me?" The figure raised one pale hand, and dark energy crackled around it, power building, gathering, preparing to strike. And then Alindra did something incredibly brave and incredibly foolish. She charged. Chapter 7. The Taking. "Alindra, no!" Declan shouted, but she was already moving. The elven warrior sprinted across the ship, dove, and worked her way through the water towards the beach. Her blessed sword, blazing with holy light, aimed directly at the figure. For a moment, it seemed like it might work. Her sword could cut through dark magic. It had just destroyed deceivers, hurt corrupted creatures, pierced illusions. Surely it could harm this interdimensional sorcerer. The blade struck the figure's outstretched hand and stopped. Not blocked, not deflected, just stopped. The blessed sword, which could cut through almost anything, couldn't penetrate whatever protection the figure had. "Admirable," the figure said, "but futile." The dark tendrils of energy erupted from the figure's hand, but they didn't just wrap around Alindra. They wrapped around both her and the flame core she still gripped tightly. The dark magic bound them together, lifting both elf and the artifact off the ground as one. "Let her go!" Pip shouted, throwing one of his daggers from the ship. The blade passed through the figure as if he wasn't even there and hit the beach on the other side. Harmless. Alindra struggled against the dark tendrils, refusing to release the flame core even as the magic tightened around her. "I won't let you take it." The figure's glowing purple eyes focused on the red crystal sphere in Alindra's grip. Then, with its free hand, the figure reached into its dark robes and pulled out another fact, one that pulsed with dark, shadowy energy unlike anything they'd seen before. "The 7th artifact," the voice echoed. "Stolen from the dragon's hoard long before your quest began. And now..." The figure's gaze returned to Alindra and the flame core she held. "Now I take another. With these two, the balance begins to shift." Declan's blood ran cold. This figure had the 7th artifact all along, and now it was taking Alindra and the flame core together. "You're not taking her!" Declan had an arrow knocked, aimed at the figure's head, and he fired. Again, the arrow passed through the figure just like Pip's dagger had. Wherever the figure was, it wasn't entirely of this world. Partially phased, partially here, and partially somewhere else. "Your weapons are useless," the figure said. "Your magic is insufficient. Your courage, while admirable, means nothing against true power." The figure began backing toward the portal, dragging Alindra with the dark tendrils of energy. She fought against them, but she couldn't break free. Declan ran forward on the ship. Alindra looked at him, her violet eyes meeting his blue ones. "Declan, don't! I'm not leaving you!" Declan jumped off the ship and again swam to shore just as Alindra had done. Others followed. Once ashore, Declan grabbed for her hand, their fingers interlocking, and for one moment he thought he could pull her free. Then the figure increased the power. The dark magic pulled at Alindra backward with a tremendous force. Declan's grip was broken, his fingers sliding away from hers. "I'll find you," Declan screamed as she was pulled toward the portal. "Whatever it takes, I'll find you." "The star we've crowned," Alindra shouted back as she was dragged closer in the Terran reality. "Use the crown. It shows the truth. It can..." The figure pulled her through the portal. Declan ran after her, but Pip and Captain Mara grabbed him, holding him back. "It's too dangerous," Mara said. "We don't know where that leads." "I don't care," Declan struggled against them. "Let me go." But it was too late. The figure stepped backward through the portal, and Alindra, still held by the dark magic, and she still gripped the flame core tightly, refusing to let it go as she was dragged into the other dimension. The figure's other hand held the dark seventh artifact, pulsing with shadowy energy. She probably won't be harmed, the figure said, echoing across dimensions. She's so valuable. When you're ready to trade for the remaining artifacts, you know where to find me. Where? Declan demanded. Where are you taking her? The figure paused at the threshold between worlds. The sublunar realm. The space between here and the stars. The place your legends forgot. If you want her back, you'll have to cross over. How? Pip shouted. But the figure was already gone, pulling Alindra with them. The portal began to close, reality sealing itself, the tear in the world shrinking. Declan broke free from his friends and ran to where the portal had been, but there was nothing. Just empty beach, just normal air, and Alindra was gone. Chapter 8. The Quest for Light. They stood on the beach as the last light of day faded. The celebration was forgotten. The victory felt hollow. Declan stared at the empty space where the portal had been, his mind racing. Alindra was gone, taken to another dimension by a creature of impossible power, and she still had the flame core, refusing to release it as she was dragged through the portal. The mysterious figure now had two artifacts, the flame core that Alindra held, and the dark seventh artifact that it already possessed. We have to go after her, Declan said quietly. How? Captain Mora asked gently. We don't know how to open portals. We don't know where this sublunar realm is. We don't even know if it's possible to get there. Then we will learn, Declan said, turning to face them. His expression was fierce and determined. We find someone who knows about portals. We learn how to cross between the worlds. We find a gateway. Pip stepped forward. And then? Then we go, Declan said simply. We find Alindra. We get her back. We recover the stolen artifacts, and we stop this mysterious figure before they take the rest. He looked at his friend, his partner through everything. I know this is insane, and it's probably impossible. I just know we finished one quest, and this is asking you to start another, even more dangerous one. So if you want to stay behind, I understand. Are you kidding? Pip interrupted. Alindra saved my life at least a dozen times. She taught me how to fight and how to be brave, how to be better than I was. Of course I'm coming. Declan felt relief wash over him. Thank you. Besides, Pip added with a weak grin, someone has to keep you from doing something stupidly heroic and getting yourself killed. Captain Mara cleared her throat. The ship is yours as always. Wherever this quest takes you, the Storm Chaser will get you there. Torben nodded. Aye, we've sailed halfway across the Valorian. What's one more impossible journey? Kira grinned despite the circumstances. Plus, traveling to another dimension? That's going to make an amazing story for the taverns. Declan looked around at the crew and his friends and felt gratitude swell in his chest. Then we sail for Ashenclaw first. We secure the Tidestone there with the other artifacts. We still have the Storm's Eye and Starweave Crown. We can't risk losing more. And then, Mara asked? Then we find every book, every sage, every wizard who knows anything about interdimensional travel, and we learn everything we can about the sublunar realm. I've never even heard of it, Mara admitted. Neither have I, Declan said, but the figure called it the space between here and the stars. The place legends forgot, and if it's mentioned anywhere, even old stories, we'll find it. Pip looked thoughtful. When the portal opened, I saw glimpses, the other side. It wasn't just dark. There was light too, but wrong somehow. Twilight that has never ended. Stars that moved in ways they shouldn't. The sublunar realm, Declan repeated the name. Below the moon and between the stars. A dimension and perpetual twilight. He pulled the Starweave crown from where he'd left it on the ship. The silver crown, with woven stars, glowed softly in the darkness. Alindra said to use this. It shows truth. Maybe it can show us the truth about the portals and other dimensions, about how to cross over. Zephyr and Ember landed on his shoulders, chirping softly. They knew Alindra was gone. They could sense Declan's determination. Declan thought about what they would be facing. A realm, perpetual twilight, a world between stars, a place that existed in shadow. A quest for light, and Pip nodded. A quest for light. How long? Torben asked. How long until we're ready to cross over? However long it takes, Declan said. We'll prepare and we'll learn and we'll find the gateway, and then we'll cross over into the sublunar realm and we'll get her back. They'd started this journey running around from palace guards, trying to survive. Guards that had been enchanted. They'd entered as heroes who defeated dragons and saved Valorian. And now, this new journey is beginning, harder and more dangerous, into realms unknown. But they'll face it together. Declan raised the Tidestone, letting its blue light shine in the darkness. For Alindra, he said, and everyone echoed, For Alindra. And as the stars came out overhead, stars that existed in this world, in this dimension, governed by laws and magic they understood, Declan made a silent promise. He would cross into the unknown. He would face the figure. He would walk between worlds if he had to. But he would bring Alindra home. The quest for the 7 artifacts was over. The quest for light was just beginning. The end of the 7 artifact saga. The quest continues in book number 1, Quest for the Light, The Gateway. All right, adventurers, we hope you enjoyed this story. This, again, was the end of this quest. We'll have the new quest coming out really soon. Until next time.